Something bad happens to you, what society tells you is, hey, that's trauma, hey, bad, hey, you should feel terrible. If you take that bad thing, then you look at it in a different light.
The morning routine that built my success. Let me ask you something. Do you ever wake up in the morning, hit snooze 3 times, drag yourself out of bed, and then wonder why the whole day feels like chaos? I used to live that way. My mornings were sloppy, rushed, and stressful. I was always late, always behind, and always tired. I told myself, I'll get better with time. But time doesn't magically make your life better. Habits do. And here's the truth.
Well, oftentimes business education today, and I see it all the time, kids come out of college, the best colleges, Wharton and Harvard and Stanford and some of the great business schools, and they'll come out and they won't have practical.
No one likes to hear. Success doesn't start with the big decisions you make. It starts with the small choices you repeat every day. For me, everything changed when I decided to master my mornings. This is the story of how building a morning routine completely transformed my life and eventually became the foundation of every win I've had since. Where it all started. A few years ago, I was stuck. I wasn't failing exactly, but I wasn't.
And you forgive that person and you understand why that person did it, the good came from it, all of a sudden, it's not such a bad thing anymore.
Winning either. You know that feeling when life is just okay? My days blurred together. I'd roll out of bed at the last minute, check my phone, scroll through social media, maybe grab a quick bite, and then rush out the door. I thought mornings didn't matter as long as I got through the day. But the problem was, starting my day in panic mode set the tone for everything else.
We ask kids that are 16 to 18 years old to make $100,000 debt decisions when they go off to university. And they're not.
I'd forget tasks, miss deadlines, and spend the evenings wondering where all my time went. It wasn't until I read about high performers, people like CEOs, athletes, and creatives, that I realized the one thing they all had in common: a structured morning routine. At first, I thought, well, good for them. They're successful, so
prepared for that. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They just assume, okay, I'm going to 4 years of education at $25,000 a pop, and when I come out the other side, somehow I'll be able to
fuel to get you moving. If you don't know where you're going, your targets are, you're never going to get there.
That it doesn't matter how old you are,
Of course, they have fancy routines. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized it wasn't success that gave them a routine. It was the routine that created their success. So I made a decision. I was going to rebuild my mornings from scratch. Noche, the wake-up call. The first step was the hardest, waking up earlier. I had been a chronic snoozer, so the idea of getting up even 30 minutes earlier sounded like torture.
If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be full of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at...
But I knew I had to do it. The first few days were brutal. My body fought me every step of the way. I'd hear that alarm ring and every excuse in the book would pop into my head. You went to bed late, you deserve more sleep, or 5 more minutes won't hurt. But I forced myself out of bed. And something strange happened after a week or so.
All these hobbies and code a lot of stuff and try a lot of different things. It's this amazing flexibility that I think most people take for granted. Once you decide, okay, I'm going to start a company and I'm going to do it.
It got easier. My body adjusted, and my mornings stopped feeling like punishment. Instead, I started to feel like I had control over my time. That feeling alone was powerful. Chapter 4: No phone. Rule 1 of the first rules I set for myself was no phone in the first hour.
Up and up like that. And the president of Harvard or Stanford, if you wanted to get a mob of students, alumni, faculty to come after you, try to lynch you, what you should say is something like this. We live in this much larger...
I used to wake up and dive straight into emails, notifications, and social media. It was like handing over my brain to the world before I'd even had a chance to think for myself. Cutting that habit changed everything. The first hour of my day became
up and up like that. And the president of Harvard or Stanford, if you wanted to get a mob of students, alumni, faculty to come after you, try to lynch you, what you should say is something like this. We live in this much larger...
Mine. Not my boss's, not Instagram's, not anyone else's. That quiet time gave me space to think clearly and actually decide what I wanted my day to look like.
Something bad happens to you, what society tells you is, hey, that's trauma, hey, it's bad, hey, you should feel terrible. If you take that bad thing, and then you look at it in a different light.
Movement. Before motivation. I'll be honest, I am not a natural gym lover. But I realized quickly that moving my body in the morning gave me more energy than coffee ever could. I started small, stretching, push-ups, or just a short walk. Over time,
everything changed for me when I realized we're not meant to feel excited and perfect all the time. I started accepting that where I am right now is
time I built it up to a proper workout routine. There's a saying that goes, motion creates emotion. I didn't believe it until I experienced it. On the days I moved in the morning, my mood lifted, my focus sharpened, and I felt unstoppable.
Prepared for that. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They just assume, okay, I'm going to 4 years of education at $25,000 a pop, and when I come out the other side, somehow I'll be able to.
On the days I skipped it, I dragged myself through work. The difference was night and day. Nunyers. Feeding my mind. After moving my body, I decided I needed to feed my mind. That's when I picked up reading.
And some people, like I've got a great conceptual memory and a terrible rote memory. So if I have a story, I could tell you year by year kind of what happened.
Again. I set aside just 20 minutes every morning for personal growth books, biographies, or anything that challenged my thinking. At first, it didn't feel like much.
Up and up like that. And the president of Harvard or Stanford, if you wanted to get a mob of students, alumni, faculty to come after you, try to lynch you, what you should say is something like this. You know, we live in this much larger.
What could 20 minutes really do? But after a few months, I realized how much my perspective had shifted. Those little bits of wisdom built up, and I started applying them to my work, relationships, and decisions. It's funny how small habits compound. Just like bad habits drag you down over time, good ones lift you up.
The people who are doing the work they care about are figuring out what to do next, not following the person who told them what to do next. And the problem with
planning. With purpose. One of the biggest game changers was planning my day before it started. I'd sit with a notebook, write down my top 3 priorities, and block out time for them. Not a mile-long to-do list.
I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be full of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. You know, if you look at
just 3 things that mattered most. This simple step stopped me from being busy all the time and actually made me productive. Before this, I used to react to whatever came my way.
Colleges is they are high school but with more binge drinking. The entire purpose of a good university is to give you a foundation to fail.
Now, I was proactive. I was choosing what mattered instead of letting distractions choose for me. Jaffer, the ripple effect. Here's what surprised me the most.
Fuel to get you moving. If you don't know where you're going, your targets are, you're never going to get there.
That it doesn't matter how old you are, how you.
It wasn't just my mornings that got better. My entire life started to shift. Work became less overwhelming because I tackled important tasks first. My health improved because I was moving every day. My confidence grew because I was keeping promises to myself. Even my relationships.
You know, it's an extremely corrupt system we have at this point. We have an education bubble. In the U.S., we have $1 trillion of student debt. To first approximation, this has gone.
Benefited because I was less stressed and more present. People around me noticed too. Friends asked why I seemed more energetic. Colleagues wondered how I was so consistent. The truth was simple. I had taken control of the first hour of my day, and that first hour was controlling the rest of it.
Up and up like that. And the president of Harvard or Stanford, if you wanted to get a mob of students, alumni, faculty to come after you, try to lynch you, what you should say is something like this. You know, we live in this much larger.
Thatcher, lessons I learned along the way. Looking back, here are some of the biggest lessons I've learned from building this morning.
This is the easy part. Behind the scenes is where the work is done.
Morning routine. Comfort is the enemy of growth. If you're always comfortable, you'll never change. Motivation fades, but discipline stays. Don't wait to feel ready. Take action, and readiness.
something bad happens to you, what society tells you is, hey, that's trauma, hey, bad, hey, you should feel terrible. If you take that bad thing, then you look at it in a different light.
I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be full of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. You know, if you look at
target is, don't guess it. Be as clued up as the next man, because that's petrol. That's your.
This will follow. Your identity is built by your habits. If you want to be confident, do things that build confidence. If you want to be successful, practice success daily. These lessons weren't instant revelations. They were built slowly, morning by morning, choice by choice. Insuerlian. The payoff. Years later, I can confidently say this routine was the foundation of my success. Not because it's perfect or because I never slip, but because it taught me how powerful consistent habits are. I've built businesses, hit personal milestones, and achieved goals I once thought were out of reach. And every single
where I'm genuinely meant to be. Lean into them. Baddies are also part of a very good and meaningful life. So on my toughest days, I think about getting through.
One of those wins can be traced back to the mornings I decided to own my time instead of wasting it. Worse, why this matters to you. I'm sharing this because I know how it feels to be stuck. I know how heavy it is to live with dreams in your heart but doubts in your head. I know the pain of wanting more but feeling paralyzed by fear. And I also know this. You don't have to stay there. Your morning can be the first step out of that cycle.
Everything changed for me when I realized we're not meant to feel excited and perfect all the time. I started accepting that where I am right now is...
Your morning can be your reset button, your anchor, your launch pad. Yuckers. Building your own morning routine. Now, let me be clear. Your routine doesn't have to look exactly like mine. The key is finding what works for you. Maybe for you it's journaling. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's spending quiet time with your family before the day begins.
The competition is not the reality?
Listen, the work is behind the scenes.
Start small. Pick one habit. Master it. Then add another. Over time, those small wins stack up. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Remember, it's not about being perfect.
Blessed. And here I am the CEO of my own company.
In whatever you do, please understand your terrain. No.
It's about being consistent. Zacharias. Final thoughts. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. Success isn't built in a single day. It's built
regardless of anything else.
This here in reality, do you mean
daily? The way you start your morning is the way you build your life. So tomorrow morning when your alarm goes off, ask yourself, who do I want to be today? The answer doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what you do next. If this story sparked something in you,
every time I would go to the floor was the CEO's office. So I would bust in like it's the CEO. I'm dreaming like I'm the CEO.
Up and up like that. And the president of Harvard or Stanford, if you wanted to get a lynch mob of students, alumni, faculty to come after you, try to lynch you, what you should say is something like this. You know, we live in this much larger...
Don't let the feeling fade. Start tomorrow with one small change and watch how it grows. And if you want more real stories, practical advice, and motivation to keep building the life you deserve, make sure to subscribe and stay connected. Because success isn't a solo journey.
You are your age, you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. And I always say, if you do it, anyone can do it.
Journey. It's something we build together, one morning at a time.
Up and up like that. And the president of Harvard or Stanford, if you wanted to get a lynch mob of students, alumni, faculty to come after you, try to lynch you, what you should say is something like this. You know, we live in this much larger